Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. نهاركم سعيد in Arabic. To our Global Greens family across every time zone and continent. I am Fadi Al Jamal, co-convener of the Asia Pacific Greens Federation and the Green Party of Lebanon Political and International Relations Officer. I am honored, it is my honor to welcome you as we celebrate 25 years of the Global Greens. 25 years of building, struggling, and acting together for a greener, fairer, and more peaceful world. I speak to you from Lebanon, a country at war, over 1 million displaced, bombs falling, yet our members are doing what Greens do best, showing up. This is a reality for many in our region. Palestine, justice under occupation, Myanmar, resisting dictatorship, the Pacific, fighting risen seas, and across Asia, facing repression and ecological destruction. This is our region, wounded by but resilient. Why we are here? 25 years ago in Canberra, the Global Greens Charter was adopted. A promise to work across borders for people and planet over profit. Today, the Global Greens is a family of over 100 parties. The Asia Pacific Green Federation is proud to bring the voices of the Pacific Asia and the Middle East to the global table. We have built green parties, amplified frontline voices, stood in solidarity and centered indigenous wisdom. And getting started. Welcome, dear friends, you are family. Over this session, we will hear stories of struggle and victory. I invite you to listen deeply, share your reflections, and leave inspired, because 25 years is worth celebrating. But the work is not done. The planet is still burning, wars are still raging. We have 25 more years ahead, and we will meet them together. Thank you. Welcome, and let us begin. First, I would like to kindly ask our fellow panelists to shorten their interventions in order to keep with our schedule. And now, if I may ask you to give a moment of focus to the most important people in our APGF lives, our country parties. To deliver an acknowledgement protocols, I am pleased to welcome Mr. Dominic Wycannach, one of our APGF Australian councillors and one of our 4 APGF directors. Dominic has been a Green councillor for Bondi Ward in New South Wales since 1999 and has served as Deputy Mayor White. He is a founding member of the Pacific Against Nuclearization movement and one of Australia's longest serving First Nations human rights. Dominic, welcome. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Fadi. I have tried to go on screen, but the video has not worked. I think something has gone wrong with the technicals, but if people will allow me, I will start to speak the acknowledgement.
We can see you.
You can see. Okay, thank you very much. Hello, good greens all. Please join with us in giving our respect to our Indigenous elders of the countries that we join from for this 25-year celebration of Global Greens. Global Greens began on Indigenous First Nations Ngunnawal country in Canberra, Australia. We thank the Global Green Federations for the Global Greens Congress Resolution of 2023. This resolution has established the Indigenous network of the Global Greens. We celebrate the work of the Global Greens over the last 25 years that has led to the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Indigenous peoples are often on the front line of actions to save our culture and to save the planet. As Indigenous First Nations, tribal, nomadic peoples, we are custodians of land, water, sky. We look forward to the next 25 years and beyond the next 25 years, where the Global Greens Indigenous youth, as our leaders of tomorrow, will help to bring First Nations climate action solutions to the conversations that will make sure we create and sustain a future of survival, a green future of survival for all of us. Thank you, and back to you, Dr. Fari. Thank you, Good Greens.
Thank you, Dominic. Shukran. That was dedicated to all of you, our listeners. And if I may please ask you to engage and use the emotions function on your screen so that our presenters know that have your support. Would you like to test it now, please? Thank you. Great. And now over to one of the best movies that should be released. It will feature the history of APGF. Our wonderful technician, Mr. Shrestha of the Nepali Greens, has collated these images for our viewing. Ladies and gentlemen, Greens, I give you images of the history of the APGF in the last 2 decades. Over to you, Mr. Shrestha.
My name is Margaret Blakers. Hello everyone and welcome to Global Greens 2001.
Good morning, my name is Wangari Maathai, I am from Kenya.
Rafael Tiran from the Green Party of Canada.
Soy Carlos Fonseca del Partido Verde de Colombia.
20 years ago, we just had a handful of parliamentarians. 10 years ago, we had absolutely no ministers. Well, today, we can boast of thousands of local Green parliamentarians, hundreds of national parliamentarians all over the world.
I'm Svet Zabelin from Russia Social Ecological Union.
My name is Giuseppe De Marzo, representing Italia Green Party.
I'm Minati V from the Norwegian Green Party.
Trees and forests are being killed without shouts. The coral reef is dying silently. There are so many silent messages in the world. Voices of trees, voices of coral reef, voices of war victims, voices of future generation.
I take this as our tribute to the future, to all of you, from right round this beautiful, wonderful little planet of ours. which so far as we know is the one speck that harbours life, that gives us sustenance, and upon whom we depend, for it is us and we are it.
We realised that a Global Greens Charter would be indeed an essential element of this conference, as an expression of the identity and the political principles of the global green movement.
This animal called globalization is worse than slavery, is worse than colonialism.
Climate change is a matter of justice.
Every human being on Earth has an equal entitlement to the use of the atmosphere.
Amendment 1. The amendment is replace demand reform of the WTO with the words support abolition of the WTO.
We are from many cultures and we speak many different languages, but in politics we speak with one voice. And now, united with our charter and policy document, we are ushering in a new era of hope for the world's peoples. Travel home safely and enjoy the memory of these 3 wonderful days forever. Thank you, everybody.
I would like to thank you, the family of Nepali Greens, for collating that for all our viewing pleasure. I now turn to our guest speaker, Ms. Margaret Blackers, a walking treasure of APGF's history. Margaret is a tireless campaigner for forests, for forest and climate, a founding member of the Victorian Greens, and a champion of women in politics. In 1984, she organized the first Atlas of Australian birds. Ms. Margaret, welcome, and over to you, please.
Hello, thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear and see you.
Thank you. I just assumed that we are. That was actually the 2001 Congress that we were just watching, 3 days compressed into 3 minutes, roughly. And about 3 hours ago, 25 years ago, was when the Global Greens Charter was actually accepted by the Congress by acclamation. So we're pretty much on the dot of a 25-year anniversary. And following Dominic Waikanak's introduction, I would like to acknowledge that I'm actually speaking on the land of the Ngunnawal people, and also that the first ever Asia Pacific Greens meeting was held in Brisbane, which is the land of the Turrbal and Jaegera people. So in 1990, when we started planning this Congress in Brisbane, and I see that quite a number of people who are here were actually in Brisbane, which is extraordinary. We were looking to make a mark because, and we had the really rather overambitious idea of inviting all the world's Green parties to Canberra in 2001. And we wanted to do that for 2 reasons. One is to find out who was around in the Asia Pacific region, because at that stage we didn't know. And the second reason was to have a bit of a practice run at organising a Congress. And I must say, you're braver than me organising this online Congress, which it looks so complicated to put together, but it seems to be working magnificently. So thank you very much for Karen and everyone else who was in the team who's organised this event. In Brisbane, where we had held the meeting in the year 2000, first of all, we had to find the Green parties in the region. So that took quite some effort of talking to civil society groups, embassies, trawling through the media, following up leads and so on. And remember that at that time, we were just in the beginnings, really, of the technological revolution. And the emails were clunky, web pages were virtually, well, few and far between. And we only just managed to scrape together, some people managed to get there really in the last hours, days, or a week to be participating. Ava showed some pictures of the group that came, and as she said, it was a fantastic event, as it turned out. We had 30 people from 12 countries across the region, and the people who came, just if you think about it, as I said, we didn't know who was who, apart from the Taiwan Greens and the New Zealand Greens. They didn't know us, we didn't know them. We both took a chance and it paid off. The meeting was exciting and the outcome was an agreement to set up the Asia Pacific Greens network. Then 5 years later in Kyoto, in Japan, we had 400 people turn up from 23 countries, and we officially launched the network and adopted what we thought would be a set of simple rules to govern our decision-making. Well, they actually weren't too bad, and they lasted for a decade. In 2010, the Taiwan Greens hosted the Congress, and in 2015 in Wellington in New Zealand, the APGN, the network, became the APGF, a fully fledged federation. No more simple rules, but a proper legal constitution. And today, the Asia Pacific Greens has 21 member groups in countries as different as India, on one hand, with a population of 1.5 billion, and at the other end, the Solomon Islands with a population of 800,000. And I'm just going to, I have been watching on the chat, and I can see that there are people from many of these parties and many of these countries. So I'm just going to do a quick run through of the countries where there are member parties in the Asia Pacific region. So starting in the north, we've got Mongolia, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and the Philippines. Moving south and east, we've got Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, Australia, New Zealand, and the Solomons. And west, India, Pakistan, Nepal, and Bangladesh, and even further west, Lebanon, Palestine, Iraq, and Jordan. And I hope I've got them all, but as a region, you can see from that list, we've got an absolutely remarkable diversity of people, languages, and cultures. And we're separated by vast distances that are difficult to cross and expensive to move around. Yet we can come together and collaborate for change. And I completely endorse Dr. Fadi's call for peace, non-violence, and for looking after the environment in our region as well as the rest of the planet. But as far as I can see in the Asia Pacific region, with that diversity and that spread of countries and peoples and cultures, being able to come together and collaborate for change is an achievement that's worth celebrating. And that's what we've been doing for the last 25 years. So let's hope we're bigger and better in the next 25 years and really can but continue making a difference in our part of the world. Thank you very much.
Again, please join me in thanking Ms. Margaret for her work with others at the beginning, 25 years ago, which helped to grow the seed called APGF. A logical lead into our next segment. A voice from the Middle East and Palestine, where a genocidal war continues to take place. I now welcome Dr. Tamimi of the Palestine's Greens, an APGF counselor and one of our delegates to the Global Greens. For 25 years, our APGF members have focused on climate and environmental governance in crisis, survival under occupation, climate stress, water scarcity, and the climate conflict nexus. Dr. Tamimi speaks to all of these from the heart of the struggle. Dr. Tamimi, welcome, over to you. Tfaddal.
Thank you, Dr. Fadi, and good morning, good afternoon for everybody. I'm sorry my voice is not very well because I have a cold. However, I will talk about our situation and the whole Middle East situation with constructed structured presentation. What we notice now in the whole Middle East, proxy wars, shifting alliances, and persistent instability and humanitarian crisis deepening. Proxy war, unfortunately, local conflicts are increasing, influenced and fueled by external powers. Iran, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, United States, Russia, Israel, turning internal disputes into broader regional struggles. And also traditional alliances are changing, with some Arab state normalization with relation with Israel, while others deepening ties with Iran or Turkey. Despite peace efforts, instability remains due to unresolved core issues, political issues, weak state institutions, and economic challenges. Civilian suffering is increasing with more refugees, displacement, and humanitarian needs due to prolonged conflict. The tensions, the main drivers of the tensions is Israeli-Palestinian conflict, ongoing disputes over land sovereignty and rights between Israelis and Palestinians, especially in Gaza and West Bank and Jerusalem. Syrian civil war, still Syria is not stable. Multiple actors involved inside Syria and many Syrian opposition groups like ISIS, Kurdish forces, and foreign powers like Russia, US, Turkey, Iran is still involving in Syria. That's why are the main drivers behind the instability. US-Iran relationship, as you know, this is not bilateral conflict, it is a proxy conflict, and tensions over Iran's nuclear program, sanctions, and influence in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, including the incidents in the Strait of Hormuz. This is our expectation will be escalated, and this will spread out to all the region. Also, Lebanon's political crisis affect the whole region, and also increasing the polarization inside Lebanon and at the regional level. Iraq instability, normalization agreement with Israelis, also some people with, some people against, and this is also increasing the polarization. We have resources disputes, conflict over water, oil, gas resources, particularly in Persian Gulf and Eastern Mediterranean. This is also main driver of the conflicts. refugees and humanitarian crisis, and also environmental damages increasing around the whole Middle East countries. Transitionally, strengthening in international mediation and peace initiatives, it's important. And I think the green groups, green parties, green movements, they have to strengthen the international mediation and working for peace initiatives. Also important to strengthening the international mediation and peace initiatives, not only regional initiatives, but also international at international level. Invest in humanitarian and economic development, because the weak economic, the increasing poverty, unemployment, also its many drivers for unrest and instability in the area. Today the situation is important to call for all the people who believes in peace to call for immediate ceasefire in Gulf and in Lebanon. And also we have to promote the community-based environmental education and awareness, because up to the reports from Lebanon and from Gaza and from Iraq, there is a huge environmental damages, and it's important to take into consideration plans how to stop the environmental damages, because this is needs tens of years to recover the situation. And finally, for a future ceasefire for now and for the future, not to be just immediate action, but without ceasefire, without stopping the wars, without solving the Palestinian question, and without stability in Lebanon, I think to talk about the environmental justice, it's very hard. Also, we have to promote joint efforts to end the occupation and to advocate for the Palestinian human rights. And finally, we have to accelerate to access funding for sustainable projects, not only in Palestine, in the whole area, because the economic growth, the prosperity of the people, it will be the best environment for creating peace. I think the environmentalists, a green movement, they have to play a good role, and they can play a good role, effective role, to create stability in the Middle East. Without stability in the Middle East, I think there is no stability around the world. Thank you for listening.
Shukran, Dr. Tamimi. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation, find those emotions, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fadi.
And from our fundraising committee and secretariat, should you not have done so, please note the particulars in the chat if you are in a position to support our APGF fundraising for water for Palestine. We have so far raised about $4,000, and we are grateful for your kind and continued support. And from Palestine, we can now give focus to other topmost priority of APGF members: peace and solidarity. For the last 25 years, the focus of all APGF members has included Middle East peace and arms trade advocacy, Gaza, West Bank, Lebanon, Palestine advocacy, anti-arms exports, global justice advocacy, regional solidarity, community peace building, liberation, ceasefire, human rights, and regional peace cooperation. And here to outline what that means in the recent internationally illegal strikes against Lebanon and Iran, I welcome one of our women leaders in the field, Ms. Shireen Jordi of the Green Party of Lebanon. Shireen grew up during Lebanon's protracted civil war, which shaped her lifelong commitment to peace, social cohesion, and equality. She has worked extensively on conflict resolution, transitional justice, and the women, peace, and security agenda. She is an executive member of WILF Lebanon, the MENA regional representative, and the MENA regional liaison officer of GPPAC. Shireen bridges the gap between academic research and grassroots activism, a holistic approach to building lasting peace. My dear Shireen, welcome. Over to you.
Shukran, Fadi. Hello, everyone. Hello from occupied Lebanon. I want to thank you for organizing this, and I feel humbled talking after Dr. Tamimi. And just to give you this continued pattern, I'm not sure if you hear the Zannana, as they call it in Palestine, or the same thing what we call in Lebanon as Mkamel, the drone, which is not only a surveillance method, but it's also a psychological pressure that never ends. From a genocidal perspective that was happening in Palestine over the past years, but also since 1948, up till now, there is a continued pattern of the violations of international law that went and is going without the actual need to redress this, how we're going to work together in a collective way to stop these genocidal and mechanisms. I want to say that unfortunately now in Lebanon, I will go in brief. Lebanon is now being occupied. 14% of Lebanon now is being occupied under unhumanized and dehumanizing evacuation orders, which remind us of what happened in Gaza when the Gazans were asked to leave their homes. The same happens in south of Lebanon, in the Bekaa, in the suburbs of Lebanon, and in other areas. With these dehumanizing evacuation orders, we have 14% of Lebanon that is being occupied, villages that are completely destroyed, whether by bombs or whether by machines or whether even by putting fire on houses. Yesterday, a mosque that is more than 4 centuries old was put to fire. Fadi told us about the 1 million people who were forced to leave their homes. And when we talk about 1 million in Lebanon, we're talking about around 20% of the population, including Palestinians in camps, were asked to leave their homes. So with this asymmetry in power politics in Lebanon, we are seeing like the impact that this evacuation orders or the destruction of villages is having at the Lebanese level, with unpreparedness, with the lack of concrete crisis response management because of the structure of Lebanon. And at the same time, we've seen that we have around 10 to 15% of the people who are in places where they're having their collective houses, but we're seeing a large majority of a collective of shelters, people living with the mere basic needs. Unfortunately, this human catastrophe, as the IOM has said, it's not only an issue of displaced, but it might be a long one, and it might be also about people who will not be able to go back home because of the destruction of these villages. Not to forget that last week we passed through very hard times, and I think this is a dehumanization also for Lebanese, when in 10 minutes we had 100 bombardments, and they're very proud that they have bombarded Lebanon in 10 minutes with that kind of weapons. Just to say that UNIFIL is being attacked, which is the peacekeeping mission. History and culture are being attacked. Weapons are being used in violations of international laws such as phosphorus weapons and other things, and in violations of the Arms Trade Treaty and in violations of Article 7.4. In violations also of the UN that we want and the reform that we need from UN. I will not repeat what Dr. Tamimi has said about our demands, but in addition that we need a quick and immediate ceasefire, we need as well an end to occupation, a return of the hostages and the detained people in Lebanon. We need rebuilding, and we need that this never happens again. We need acknowledgement of the suffering and the harm that has been used not only to people, but also to the culture in Lebanon and to the historical places. And we need justice. Last point, we need also to see how we collectively go to a fossil fuel phase out as real causes of conflict, as we have seen in our region. Thank you. Back to you, Fadi.
Thank you, Shireen. Would you kindly, our fellow panelists, try to stick with the time? I mean, they are rushing me. We have to be in the schedule. I will try also to not speak too long. One of the earliest, for the last 25 years, our APGF members has focused on parliamentary accountability, local democracy protection, strengthening institution, community governance, regional cooperation governance, and youth and women political participation. One of the earliest parties, the Green Party of Taiwan, was presented at the beginning when APGF was first discussed. One of their leaders, Dr. Liu, is from Taiwan's Greens, a human rights champion and university lecturer. She is also an APGF counselor. One of the leaders of the Australian Greens, Ms. Giz Watson, is proactive as the international secretary of the Australian Greens and is now a newly elected director of APGF. Dr. Liu and Ms. Watson, welcome, and over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Fadi. Distinguished delegates and fellow Greens, happy 25th birthday to the Global Greens. It's my honor to speak on behalf of the Green Party Taiwan as one of the founding members of the Global Greens. Taiwan joined this family under the name Taiwan from the very beginning. That has always been a source of deep pride for us. In Taiwan, democracy has not given to us. For 38 years, our people lived under martial law, yet they never gave up on freedom. Through courage and persistence, Taiwan achieved a peaceful democratic transformation. This history reminds us that democracy must always be defended and renewed. For us, democracy is not only about elections, it's also about transparency, accountability, and making sure people truly have a voice in shaping their communities. As Taiwan's longest standing movement party, Green Party Taiwan has worked to turn this value into action. In 2014, we won 2 local council seats, a milestone that proved green politics can create real change. Since then, our elected representatives have pushed for more transparent local council and stronger political oversight, because democracy cannot survive behind closed doors. Today, Taiwan's democracy faces new pressures: disinformation, polarization, and growing challenges to public trust. That is why, ahead of the 2026 local elections, Green Party Taiwan has joined with 4 other movement parties to form the Taiwan Go-Go Alliance. Together, we are working to defend democratic values protect social justice, support workers and young people, and build a truly sustainable future. Our candidates have also made a clear commitment. We will not accept political donations from high-polluting industries because politics must serve people, not polluters. We also believe democracy must include everyone. Our co-convener system ensures shared leadership between men and women, and our party continues to be a home for young people, LGBTQ+ communities, and all those who want to create change from within the system. Today, as we celebrate 25th years of Green Solidarity, Taiwan stands with you, not only as a partner, but as proof that even under pressure on our sovereignty and security, democracy, courage, and hope can still grow. Taiwan is here, Taiwan is green, and we are proud to work forward with all of you. Thank you, and back to you, Dr. Fadi.
Thank you, Dr. Yuri. And here's to you, Ms. Giz.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fadi. I'll be brief. I thought it was worth just sharing a little bit about democracy that was written in the Charter, because I think it's still very relevant. In that original Charter, it says, the majority of the world's people live in countries with undemocratic regimes where corruption is rampant and human rights abuses and press censorship are commonplace. Developed democracies suffer less apparent forms of corruption through media concentration, corporate political funding, systematic exclusion of racial, ethnic, and national and religious communities, and electoral systems that discriminate against alternative ideas and newer small parties. I have had 16 years of experience in the Parliament here in the Western Australian state, and now I'm hoping to put more energy into the international space. I think we really need to remind ourselves to start from the base and build upwards. Often the traction that we can gain is via local government building up and making sure that we're working closely with civil society organisations. I want to also note that it's important that we pay renewed attention to the words and views of Indigenous people, young people, women, and those with diverse gender identities. We're a very diverse region, the Asia-Pacific region. We have extraordinary challenges, and I want to acknowledge the extraordinary suffering that's in being inflicted on the people in Palestine and Iran and Lebanon, war crimes, all of them. So just to finish off, those of us who are in the wealthier countries such as Australia and Aotearoa and the European Union, we have a privilege and wealth, and we need to redouble our efforts to offer support, resources and training to those who need it most, and to recognise that we have a duty to provide what we can from our resource-rich countries. Thank you very much, Dr. Fadi.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Giz. Now we go to our top 4 priority, economic justice. From the Nepali Greens is our first guest speaker on economic justice, former APGF co-convener for many terms and APGF councillor for just a decade or so, Mr. Tika Bandari. And from the Indian Green Party is our other guest speaker on economic justice, an APGF councillor since his initial involvement with APGF and a long-time advocate for his people's rights to representation, Mr. Suresh Notia. Here's to you, and you are welcome, and over to you. Thank you. Mr. Tika, Mr. Suresh.
Hello.
Yes.
I cannot start my video. Can you do something? You know, it is. Hello.
Hopefully somebody will help us with it if it's possible.
Yes, it's working
Yes.
now.
Greetings. My name is Suresh Nautiyal. I'm a full member on the Global Greens Coordination, and I come from India Greens Party. So I know you all carry within yourself a wish for others' well-being. I'm going to speak briefly on green economic justice in Asia. Asia is often described as one of the key engines of global growth, but beneath this narrative lies a quieter truth. Growth here has been uneven, fragile, and often unjust. Wealth has accumulated, but so has inequality. Economies have expanded, but ecosystems have contracted, and millions still stand at the margins of prosperity. But today we must first speak of fire before we speak of flourishing. On 28th of February 2026, the United States and Israel launched airstrikes on Iran, targeting military and government sites, killing senior officials, and inflicting civilian casualties. The strikes came even as negotiations over Iran's nuclear program were actively underway. Iran responded by closing the Strait of Hormuz. Today, thousands are dead, millions are displaced. As Greens, we must name this clearly. War is not a policy. It is a catastrophe. This is why green politics must be internationalistic politics. No cooperative economy, no just transition, no green growth can survive in a world where powerful states bomb peaceful people. We stand for international law. We stand for diplomacy. We stand for the right of every people, Iranian, Palestinian, Lebanese, Yemeni, to live free from airstrikes and the slow violence of sanctions. Peace is not naive. War is. Green political vision begins with a simple question. Growth for whom and at what cost? In Asia, the answer must begin with people-centered, life-centered economies. Cooperatives are central to cooperatives are.
May I interrupt you for a while, Mr. Suresh? Kindly shorten your intervention because we only have 3 minutes for each one, for everyone.
Yes.
And I would ask everyone to stick with only 3 minutes. Thank you.
Cooperatives are central to this vision, not merely as economies unit, but as instruments of democracy. They decentralize power, build accountability, and keep wealth circulating within communities rather than being extracted from them. They are the foundation of cooperative economies that serve people, not markets. Microfinance, when rooted in community ethics, proves that the poorest can become agents of transformation, but finance must serve life, strengthening rural livelihoods, sustaining local cultures, and building resilience against economic shocks. Poverty reduction is not charity, it is structural change. We cannot speak of Asian economies without honoring the invisible hands that sustain them, migrant workers. Labor migration must be governed by equity, not exploitation. The basic income debate compels us to ask whether every human being is entitled to a minimum share of collective prosperity. By transformation, runs deeper in local economic empowerment, where communities become self-reliant, where migration becomes a choice, not a compulsion, and where inclusive development is the norm, not the exception. This transition must be anchored.
Time's up.
Thank you, Suresh. We are so sorry, but as time is up, and your intervention will be shared in the coming future. Thank you, sir. Now we will go to our key priority 5, indigenous and community rights. I am glad here. It's my pleasure to introduce our fellow co-convener, Helen Ryan Sykes, from Aotearoa, New Zealand, and Mr. Dominic Waikanak is also to intervene in this key priority. It's over to you, our dear intervention, Mr. Helen and Waikanak. Thank you.
Kia ora, Dominic, my internet connection's not too good, so I've made a video. So if you can would do just welcome to country, that will be lovely to start with. Thank you. Survival and connection with their land. Pride. Kia ora koutou. My name is Helen Ryan Sykes-Mittag, and I'm currently the co-convener of the APGF Asia Pacific Green Federation and an APGF Council of the Green Party of Aotearoa, New Zealand. The phrase Maori woman and children Aotearoa, New Zealand evokes both a cultural identity and a deep connection to land, family and tradition. The Maori are the indigenous people of New Zealand, often called Aotearoa in the Maori language. They have a rich cultural heritage centred on ancestry, whakapapa, community, wanu, and spiritual ties to the land. Maori women, wanu, traditionally hold respective and influential roles within the community. They are caregivers and nurturers of children, guardians of cultural knowledge and language, te rā Māori, leaders in family and tribal baby structures. Historically and today, wanu Māori contributes to storytelling arts like weaving and carving and community leadership. Children taumaki are highly valued Māori culture and are seen as carers of future generations, connected strongly to their ancestry and identity, raised collectively, often involving extended family, wanu. Teaching children cultural practices such as haka dance, watu song, and respect for elders is an important part of upbringing. A Maori woman and her children might be seen participating in a Maori gathering, wearing traditional clothing like kakuka, and teaching language, customs and values, engaging in life that blends modern living and cultural traditions. Maori women and children experience high rates of conditions such as cardiovascular disease, diabetes, respiratory disease. For children, there are higher rates of preventable diseases, hospitalisation and barriers to earlier care. Health services that incorporate Maori values tend to be more effective. These approaches are often based on models like Tiwa Te Piwa, which views health as a balance of mental, physical, family and spiritual. Care and respect for the language, te rā Māori, family involvement, cultural identity improves the engagement and outcomes. Ensuring equitable health access for Maori women and children strengthens not only individuals but entire wanu and communities. It supports cultural connectivity, reduces preventable illnesses and contributes to a fairer healthcare system in Aotearoa, New Zealand. That was my tape, but I didn't speak that fast, so it must have been on fast forward.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you, Helen.
Would you mind, Dominic, to be short?
Yes, Dr. Fadi. Thank you. Thank you, Greens. The Indigenous issues across the Pacific that are voiced by our people are diverse. The Pacific and parts of Australia have been one of the most recent pieces of country where we have seen the worst weapons developed by our so-called civilizations, atomic weapons tested, and their lingering effects in Australia and across the Pacific are still affecting the Indigenous people and Pacific peoples as we strive to find solutions not only to our energy problem by moving to 100% renewables and not necessarily nuclear, but also finding solutions, as we have seen with previous speakers, about our propensity for war and violence and that effect that it has on Indigenous peoples and the rest of our community. We are also in the Pacific under the pressure of sea level rise and extreme weather events. You only have to watch the news and see that in our area, cyclones and sea level rise and wave action is destroying people's islands. Islands are going under. Traditional burial grounds are being swamped, so much so that our culture that used to bury people on islands in the Pacific are now looking to move to mainland cemeteries, or even looking to the practice of cremation for our ancestors. These things are very important to us. In the next 25 years of the Global Greens, we'll see climate migrations and the issues that we have to deal with that for the Pacific nations, as well as coastal communities where sea level rise and these extreme weather events will impact life to the point that people will need to move. So thank you for your effort over the last 25 years. Please think of our Pacific voices in our Pacific nations and our coastal communities as we deal with the climate extremities of human accelerated climate change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Dominic, for your precious words. Now to our cross-cutting issues relevant to the new nuclearization. We have from the Green Party of Japan, we have our first speaker, Mr. Shinichi.
Hello.
And from the Green Party of the Philippines, Mr. David D'Angelo. Over to you, Mr. Shinichi and Mr. David.
Could you please
Hello,
video?
I am Shinichi Kusajima, a city council, Tsuruoka City, Yamagata Prefecture, Japan. For 20 years, I've fought for green politics in my hometown. We are only 200 kilometers from Fukushima. It has been 15 years since the Fukushima disaster. This tragedy is impossible to forget. Even today, over 25,000 displaced citizens are unable to return home, and the nuclear emergency declaration remains in effect. Yet, the Japanese government is moving backward. This spring, TEPCO is restarting Kashiwazaki Kariwa, the world's largest nuclear plant. Now, 15 reactors, over 40% of the total, have restarted. Our new energy plan focuses on nuclear power, while renewables are stuck at only 25%. But we are fighting back. Green Japan leader and Niigata City Council member Hitoshi Nakayama led the protest of 1,200 people. We surrounded the Niigata Prefecture office with a human chain. We need renewables, but there is a dark side. This is Ishikari Bay, Hokkaido. Look how close they are. They plan to build hundreds of huge turbines. Right here, just 2 kilometers from the shore. Only Japan builds them this close. This colored area is the insomnia zone. The turbines perfectly overlap with the exact route of wild geese. And without even counting harbor purpose and finless purposes. Even though both are found stranded right on these beaches. And there is zero zoning and no marine spatial planning. This is state-sponsored ecocide. I started the campaign to stop this, but we need your voices. Global Greens, please put pressure on Japan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And here,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your input. Now to you, Mr. David, please. Mr. David D'Angelo.
Happy 25 years anniversary to Global Greens. I am David D'Angelo, the National Chairperson of the Green Party of the Philippines. We have done so many things and we have been successful as well in many. But there are many things yet to be accomplished. And one of that is the nuclearization. In the Philippines, there is a current push for a revival of the Bataan nuclear power plant. It is one of the most anomalous and corruption-ridden power plant in the whole world. And coupled with that are more than 400 defects of the power plant. It is stopped during the Aquino administration, but now it is being seen as one of the options for the so-called clean and renewable energy for a net zero 2050 in the Philippines. There is no question that nuclear power is not an option for the Philippines at the moment. It is both dangerous and catastrophic once it has failed. Corruption has been rampant in the Philippines, especially during this time. And coupled with various disasters and other natural calamities that might distract the country, nuclear is not an option. Aside from that, more than 10 mini nuclear sites are also being planned in the Philippines. And this is being pushed in Congress. And without strong opposition, it might continue and it might even be a reality. Nuclear power, it is not as clean as it is projected to be. With its toxic waste and other harmful substances, aside from the risk of health and safety, it should be something that is looked into, and in the Philippines, it should not be an option. We should continue to push for renewable energy in our country.
Thank you, Mr. David. Your video will be shared.
Thank you
later.
very much, and happy anniversary to the Global Green.
Now I welcome Michelle Cheater, our APGF lead delegate to the Global Greens, to talk about cross-cutting issues relevant to the high-level agenda. Here to you, dear Michelle. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Fadi. Welcome, everybody.
Kindly be short.
Yes, of course. We're going into other time, unfortunately, in other sessions because this one is so long. I think the key thing is we need to remember that this moment in time is the time that we can remake the world. We can't ignore what is happening in Palestine and Iran and the Middle East and Lebanon has a global impact. We need to rise to the challenge as Global Greens. We need to stop, as Bob said, fine-tuning the filing system and start looking outward. APGF is front lines in the Middle East. This has repercussion and ripples throughout the world, including, for example, huge price hikes in airfares, bus fares, fuel costs from Papua New Guinea to Nairobi to South America. We have one of the richest biodiversities on the planet with coral reefs and forests. We have two of the top countries that are destroying forests, Indonesia and Papua New Guinea are second and fourth. The world is under huge threats from industrial agriculture, which is the biggest driver of biodiversity loss, particularly if you include industrial fisheries. The Pacific is the only intact fisheries left on the planet. We have COP17 in Armenia in Europe, which is the global stocktake on the biodiversity framework. It's really important at this COP that your national parties around the world do something relevant. This is one of the best chances we have to save the planet, where 30% of land, 30% of ocean territory, and 30% of area is regenerated and 50% reduction in pesticides and chemical pollution. We have COP17, the desertification COP UNCCD in Mongolia in August, where we have a Green Party minister for the environment that we need to use that. We have human rights abuses, not just in the Middle East, but West Papua, over 3 million people have been murdered. Myanmar, Kanaki, New Caledonia, people are taken from their country and imprisoned in France. We're a green family. We need to work together. We need to work for each other. We need to support those on the front lines, because if we don't, no one else will. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, dear Michelle. Let me welcome Dr. Javaria Sheikh from Pakistan and Ms. Rice from Australia to talk about the cross-cutting issues in gender and women's issues. Please, the floor is yours. Dr. Javaria and Ms. Janet.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. So I wanted to introduce you to APGFWN. First of all, I want to, from our entire quorum, the convener and the co-convener and the secretary, I want to wish everybody happy Global Greens 25th anniversary. And it is a very sad aspect where everybody spoke, like Dr. Fadi spoke, and Abdul Rahman Timimi spoke about solidarity and how APGFWN could be more helpful for the women and the children suffering at Palestine and Gaza and Lebanon. So I wanted to introduce you. If we go next. Yeah, we have had Green Principles, and APGF was established in November 2015. Annually elect two co-convener, Secretary, Pacific and Middle East, working for the betterment of our future.
2 minutes left, Javeria.
Dr. Javeria.
We cannot hear her right now. Yeah.
Dr. Javeria, we can't hear you. Kindly unmute yourself.
Yes, so this was the Anita is from India. She had have had. Can we go next? We have had some gender equity trainings as well as mentoring programs. We have had successful mentoring programs in 2018 and so far and so now. And if we go next. So Anita has discontinued. Janet is also here. We have gender equity toolbook, and we have had our gender equity in Papua New Guinea, and Solomon Island has to be completed. Yet we have had in Pakistan, and we are also having an upcoming trainings. And these are some of the trainings we have had. And this is the trainings we have had this year and last year. We are going to plan more. This is on the International Women's Day that we have already have had last month. So it was very successful and very well taken nationally and internationally. So happy 25th anniversary. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Javeria. The floor is to Ms. Rice, please.
Thank you, Dr. Fadi. It's great to be here. I'm on the stolen lands of the Boonwurrung people in Melbourne in Southern Australia, and I want to pay respects to all First Peoples who are with us today. I was in Canberra in 2001 at the first Global Greens Congress, and in fact, I've been to every Global Greens Congress since, so it's great to be here with my Global Greens family. I was one of the founders of the Greens in Australia. I was a local government councillor and then a senator for 10 years. And now I'm a member of and a mentor with the Asia Pacific Greens Federation Women's Network. And I'm always a facilitator, supporting people to work joyfully and with love together, effectively and powerfully. And when I reflect on the last 25 years, I think of how much we as Greens have grown and what we've achieved, but even more so, how much more we've got to do, as our speakers today have so eloquently shared with us. And what gives me hope is knowing that we can and we must continue to build a bigger movement across the globe of people working effectively together for peace, justice, environment, and democracy, because all the things that we want to do take people to do them. So building people's involvement in taking powerful political action needs to be at the heart of everything that we do. And that's what the Asia Pacific Greens Federation Women's Network does. It supports women and builds skills to work together and to help our parties to grow, involving more people to tackle all the challenges we face locally and globally. So I encourage all of us to be working with women, with young people, with all groups of people across their countries to focus on doing likewise, to be building our movement so that we can continue to build the numbers of people working effectively together for the green future that we know is so critical for us to achieve. So thank you, everyone, and happy 25th birthday, Global Greens.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And that brings us nicely to our final delivery. We are honored to share with you a video message from a powerful voice in our family, the co-leader of the Aotearoa New Zealand Greens, MP Marama. Please kindly share this video. Thank you.
Key priority for the Green Party of Aotearoa New Zealand right now is to be the strongest influence in the next government after we get rid of this current awful government in our upcoming general election in November. We know that for the sake of humanity, justice and the health of our planet, we need the Greens to be the strongest influence to ensure a progressive government can put us back on the right path to generational well-being for the many and for the living systems we cherish.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, dear Green family. Thank you for being a part of this session, and thank you for being a part of APGF. Thank you for being a part of the Global Greens. And sorry for this, we have taken too long, and we appreciate your patience. Shukran, merci beaucoup, thank you.